before we do, I want us to review the type of story this is or the genre. So I want to show you up here, again, fiction. So I want you to listen to this, okay?
Fiction. The art project is fiction. Fiction tells a story about imaginary characters and events. Includes a problem and solution. Often includes dialogue.
Okay, so
Find text evidence.
we're going to stop there.
I
Can you guys tell me the 3 things that we are going to look for today that we know that this story is fiction? Ingrid?
Tells a story about
Imaginary
imaginary
characters and events. So it's kind of like made up. So this isn't like a true story. It's made up characters and events. Braylon, what else?
Includes a problem and solution.
Okay, let's stop there. Problem and solution. A lot of stories, almost every story has a problem and then a solution. That's part of your plot. And then the last one, I'm going to let Wyatt take that one.
often includes dialogue.
What is dialogue? Do you remember what dialogue is?
No.
Okay. What is it, Brooklyn?
No, I don't know.
Oh, you said you did.
I know, I was thinking of a different thing.
Oh, okay. So you need to think before you say. So dialogue is when people talk. So the characters are going to be talking to each other. And that's called dialogue, and we're going to be looking for quotation marks. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go back to the story. And our inquiry question is, how can we achieve our goals? So we're going to have goals. How can we achieve them? Let's start up here on the first word, look, and I'm going to call on people to read, okay? We're going to be finger tracking. And you're going to be following along, or somebody be clipping you down, okay? Let's have Arya start really loud, Arya. Community center
Center is having
and
art said
Grace
she was holding with
flyer. Now, this looks like this is Grace, which is kind of cute because that's Kinsley's little cousin's name. This is Grace. She's holding a flyer. So a flyer is like a poster. So it's just another name for a little poster. Posters are usually big, but flyers are like little small, okay? Or a sign. Now she's holding a flyer that says art contest. So they're going to have a contest, okay? And actually, when I look at this, I'll have to think. Because Mrs. Simmons read the flyer. And I'm thinking about this because I think this is actually the teacher. And is she holding it though? No, I think this is Grace, if I remember correctly.
And she's giving it to the teacher.
Yeah, it looks like she's maybe giving it to her, right?
Then the next
Yeah.
paragraph it says.
Yeah. Okay, so Raylan, you continue, okay? Raylan, continue really loud.
Mrs. Simmons read the flyer out loud. Everyone agreed they would like to enter the art contest. Mrs. Simmons. Okay, that just sounds weird. I feel like I should say
Mrs. Simmons, just slow down a
Mrs.
tad.
Simmons said our classroom supply of our materials is low because it is the end of the year. I'll check with Mrs. Rice to see what she has.
Okay, so they have a problem. What is their problem? They have an art contest, but they have a problem. They need some art supplies, but what's happening? Kaden, what's happening?
they're low on supplies.
They're low on supplies. That kind of happens at the end of the year. How many of you guys are running low on glue sticks?
Oh, I have one. I have zero.
Do you guys remember at the beginning of the year, you're like, Mrs. Murphy, why do we need all these glue sticks? And I said, you just wait, we're going to use them all year. And some of you are down to 1 and 0.
I'm down to 5.
Okay.
I let people borrow mine and then
That kind of happens. As the school year goes on, you run out of supplies because you're using them all year, and then you're kind of getting down to no supplies. All right, the next paragraph, I'm going to have Wyatt start with Mrs. Rice. Wyatt, can you pull down your mask so we can hear you really loud?
Miss Rice, the art teacher, didn't have any art materials. I won't be getting the supply until next year. The whole class was disappointed. How can we enter the art contest without materials? Asked Grace.
So the other art teacher, they must have 2 art teachers at their school. It must be a really big school. She didn't have any supplies either. And teachers, guess what? When we order supplies, when Mrs. Murphy orders supplies, I order them in August before you guys get here. And then I can't order again until the next year. So I need to be smart and order what I think we'll use. Now, they still have a problem. They haven't fixed this problem yet. Let's see if they figure out a plan. Let's start with the next paragraph. I'm going to have Riley start with maybe. Really loud, Riley.
Maybe we can raise some. Maybe we could have a
Bake sale.
Sally
Suggested.
suggested.
Hal. Good job. So Hal's suggesting to have a bake sale so they could raise money. Is that a good idea? Yeah. I think so. I think that's a great idea. Okay, let's read this next one. Louis, why don't you read this next one? Start with I don't think.
I don't think there's time for Mrs. Simmons said.
Okay, go on to the next one since that was so short.
Let us the paper in the recycling bin.
Pablo.
Pablo did not often raise his hand. He really
Rarely.
spoke up so everyone could surprise when he offered an idea.
Okay, so we have Hale and Pablo. And which one do you think is Pablo? Looking at the picture and what we just read. Use your picture clues. What do you think, John?
The one in the wheelchair.
Yeah, how do you know?
Because he looked like that he's raising his hand.
Yep, and he rarely raises his hand. So you're right, John. Good job. So Hale, or this must be Hal. This is Pablo. And he rarely raises his hand. He just might be quiet. He might be a little shy, but he has an idea. And what is the idea that he has? What is Pablo's idea? John? Do you remember what his idea was? No? It's okay. Lila?
To make to try to sell some stuff and they can make stuff to
That was Hale.
Hale had the suggestion of having a bake sale. But Pablo's idea was a little different. Allie, do you remember? Yeah, use the papers in recycling. So you know how Mrs. Murphy can go to the cupboard and I can get brand new paper?
yeah.
Well, if that paper is gone, another option would be like, let's go to our recycling bin and use the back of the paper and reuse it. So let's use it again, right?
Because if it's barely ripped, you
Right.
don't throw it away.
Or if it's barely written on, you can use the back side. So he has an idea of going to the recycling bin and using that paper. Okay? All right, let's go on to the next page. At the top. John, why don't you start reading, okay, really loud.
Hale said, I'm
Curious.
curious about your idea. I want to learn a way to you will see or
Would use
would use
old.
old paper.
So he's kind of curious. Why would you use old paper? That's a good way. I mean, yes, I'd be curious about that too.
Not waste.
Ingrid, let's go on to the next paragraph.
So we can save Earth
Resources.
research.
Replied.
Pablo, when we use recycled paper, we use natural
We use natural materials
materials and save trees.
and save trees. Okay. So when you use recycled paper, you use the natural materials from a tree, and then you also save it because you're using it again. Okay? All right, let's go on to the next one. Tyson, would you start there?
Dang it, fell on me. We can also use this new string and these wire
Added. Grace. Okay, so do you see how they're talking back and forth to each other with all these different ideas? So Tyson, what are they going to use? When you read that, what are they going to use? String. And what's the other one? Wire hangers. Wire hangers. So now they're going to come up with the idea of let's use recycled paper, let's use some string and wired hangers. Okay, let's go on to the next paragraph now. Addie?
Now the class had to decide what to do with the materials. Pablo had another idea. We can fold the paper into cranes, then we can attach the cranes to the frame to make a model.
Not a model. Mobile. So what's a mobile?
I have no idea.
No idea?
I have no idea.
So a mobile is when you're a baby. A lot of babies have this in their crib. So when a baby lays in their crib, they have this thing that kind of hangs over it. So when they're laying in their crib, they can see it. They can't really play with it, but they can see it move and they can hear it, and it kind of keeps them occupied and gets it actually makes their eyes better, it makes their ears better. They're exploring, they're learning that way. So that's called a mobile. Now, or mobile, you can pronounce it kind of two different ways. Now, they're going to make a different one. They're not going to make one for a baby, but they're going to make one with what?
Paper.
Paper what?
Cranes.
A crane. What's a paper crane? There's two types of cranes.
It's like a hand crane.
Okay, we don't want the crane that works. We don't want the crane that works outside to build things, to move things. We don't want that kind of crane. There's another crane, Kinsley.
It's like a bird.
It's a bird. So they're going to make, and you guys can kind of see in our hand, they're making these cranes out of paper. And it's kind of like, have you guys heard of origami?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
And that's kind of what they are. So they're making these paper cranes out of origami, and they're going to make a mobile, or mobile. Okay? All right, down to the last paragraph, down here. Libby, would you read really loud? Really loud, Libby. Mrs. Simmons. Attach. Mobile. Good. So everyone then helped attach the cranes to the mobile. Okay, so working on this together. Let's come up here on the next page and then do on the day. Kaden, would you read that?
On the day of the art contest, the paper crane mobile hung from the enormous
Yep. Community
center room. The huge space was crowded with art projects from far off. The class spotted their project. The crane mobile swayed gently as people walked past. From the distance, the paper planes appeared to be softly flying.
So as you can see, they're kind of hanging from the string, and then when they're in the air, kind of like these. The only thing hanging from these are the ends, but if we had like paper cranes on them, and sometimes you guys can hear this, the air. Can you guys hear that right now?
Yep.
Sometimes when this air blows and there's actual things on there, they move. So that's kind of what the cranes were doing. They were moving.
Maybe because the air.
Kinsley.
At one of our dentists, when I was there, there was like a huge of those, and I had to look up while they were doing that.
That's perfect at a dentist's
Yeah.
office because when you're laying there, you need something to occupy your time, right?
I just can
So-
see a light.
That's
Because I had to
right.
get my teeth out, and that would take for a very long time.
I like that. I like that. Okay, we got 2 paragraphs left. Lila, let's have you read the next one, the judges, really loud.
The judges
Check.
checked each art project. They looked closely at the craft
Oh, long A, because the E jumps over crane.
crane.
Good job. LES, have you read yet? Okay, LES, why don't you finish the last paragraph?
Had a paper crane holding one the prize for most creative use of materials as a craft widely accepted in science. They cannot stop creating. Race, crane, we need our art project and we save the earth at the same time.
Awesome. So in the end, they had a problem. They thought they didn't have any supplies because the teacher was running low, but then they became creative.
At the
And they, throughout the story, they used different supplies. They had like recycled paper, string, wire hangers, things they had around. And then at the end, they were able to create this crane mobile, and they won the prize.
What was the prize?
Does it tell us the prize?
Well, maybe it's ice cream.
No, that would be a horrible.
Did they tell us the prize?
No.
No.
Maybe
So
it's
we just have to use our imaginations as to what the prize was.
I'm sure. The truth.
I didn't